Hi guys, my name is Kate. I live in Russia, and today I want to continue talking about why I like Call Me by Your Name. Last time I was talking about the book and the film on the whole, and today I will focus on the book specifically, and also I will be quoting a lot, so prepare yourself. As I told you last time, the first part is my favorite. I feel familiar to the main hero, Elio. It was great loneliness, great suffering, and a lot of anxiety, and all of that is similar to my experience. I want to read you the first fragment. My father always wondering what I did with my time, why I was always alone, my mother urging me to make new friends if the old ones didn't interest me, but above all to stop hanging around the house all the time. Books, 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 always books, and all these score books, both of them begging me to play more tennis, go dancing more often, get to know people, find out for myself why others are so necessary in life and not just foreign bodies to be sidled up to. Do crazy things if you must, they told me all the while, forever prying to unearth the mysterious telltale signs of heartbreak, which in their clumsy, intrusive, devoted way both would instantly wish to heal, as if I were a soldier who had strayed into their garden and needed his wounds immediately staunched, or else he'd die. You can always talk to me. I was your age once, my father used to say. The things you feel and think only you have felt. Believe me, I've lived and suffered through all of them, and more than once. Some I've never gotten over, and others I am as ignorant about as you are today. Yet I know almost every bend, every toll booth, every chamber in the human heart. There is a quote about boundless doubts, about Elio's doubts. Do you remember the scene when Oliver touched Elio's shoulder and Elio had a swoon? He started questioning himself. Why had I swooned? And could it happen so easily? Just let him touch me somewhere, and I'd totally go limp and willless. Was this what people meant by butter melting? And why wouldn't I show him how like butter I was? Because I was afraid of what might happen then? Or was I afraid he would have laughed at me, told everyone, or ignored the whole thing on the pretext I was too young to know what I was doing? Or was it because if he so much as suspected, and anyone who suspected would of necessity be on the same wavelength, he might be tempted to act on it? Did I want him to act? Or would I prefer a lifetime of longing, provided we both kept this little ping-pong game going? Not knowing, not knowing, not knowing. The next quote shows us Elio's ability to see happy moments, to feel happiness, but still there are a lot of hesitations. To me, those hours spent at that round wooden table in our garden, with a large umbrella imperfectly shading my papers, the chinking of our iced lemonades, the sound of the not-too-distant surf gently lapping the giant rocks below, and in the background, from some neighboring house, the muffled crackle of the hit parade medley on perpetual replay. All these are forever impressed on those mornings when all I prayed for was for time to stop. Let summer never end, let him never go away, let the music on perpetual replay play forever. I'm asking for very little, and I swear I'll ask for nothing more. What did I want? And why couldn't I know what I wanted, even when I was perfectly ready to be brutal in my admissions? Perhaps the very least I wanted was for him to tell me that there was nothing wrong with me, that I was no less human than any other young man my age. I would have been satisfied and asked for nothing else than if he'd bent down and picked up the dignity I could so effortlessly have thrown at his feet. There is a law somewhere that says that when one person is thoroughly smitten with the other must unavoidably be smitten as well. Love, which exempts no one who's loved from loving, Francesca's words in the Inferno, "Just wait and be hopeful." I was hopeful, though perhaps this was what I had wanted all along, to wait forever. As I sat there working on transcriptions at my round table in the morning, what I would have settled for was not his friendship, not anything, just to look up and find him there, scent and lotion, straw hat, red bathing suit, lemonade. To look up and find you there, Oliver, for the day will come soon enough when I'll look up and you'll no longer be there. There was a scene when Oliver went fishing with Anchise and they got lost. They failed to return. Ellie's parents were worrying what had happened. Ellie also experienced powerful emotions, and he was very sincere, very honest with himself. I actually admire such a level of sincerity. On that day, I even urged myself to let down my inhibitions and show my grief the way everyone else was showing theirs. But I also did it so none might suspect I nursed sorrows of a far more secret and more desperate kind, until I realized, almost to my shame, that part of me didn't mind his dying, that there was even something almost exciting in the thought of his bloated, eyeless body finally showing up on our shores. But I wasn't fooling myself. I was convinced that no one in the world wanted him as physically as I did, nor was anyone willing to go the distance I was prepared to travel for him. Not knowing whether he'd show up at the dinner table was torture, but bearable. Not daring to ask whether he'd be there was the real ordeal. Having my heart jump when I suddenly heard his voice or saw him seated at his seat, when I'd almost given up hoping he'd be among us tonight, eventually blossomed like a poisoned flower. Seeing him and thinking he'd join us for dinner tonight only to hear his peremptory escort taught me there are certain wishes that must be clipped like wings of a thriving butterfly. I wanted him gone from our home so as to be done with him. I wanted him dead, too, so that if I couldn't stop thinking about him and worrying about when would be the next time I'd see him, at least his death would put an end to it. I wanted to kill him myself even, so as to let him know how much his mere existence had come to bother me, how unbearable his ease with everything and everyone, talking all things in stride, his tireless "I'm okay with this and that," his springing across the gate to the beach when everyone else opened the latch first, to say nothing of his bathing suits, his spot in paradise, his cheeky later, his lip-smacking love for apricot juice. If I didn't kill him, then I'd cripple him for life, so that he'd be with us in a wheelchair and never go back to the States. If he were in a wheelchair, I would always know where he was, and he'd be easy to find. I would feel superior to him and become his master, now that he was crippled. Then it hit me that I could have killed myself instead. I hurt myself badly enough and let him know why I'd done it. If I hurt my face, I'd want him to look at me and wonder why. Why might anyone do this to himself until years and years later, he'd finally pieced the puzzle together and beat his head against the wall. Elliot knew his parents had been worrying about him. He started questioning himself again. It told me that if I were no longer transparent and could disguise so much of my life, then I was finally safe from them, he meant his parents, and from him, he meant Oliver. But at what price? And did I want to be so safe from anyone? There was no one to speak to. Whom could I tell? My father? She'd leave the house. My aunt? She'd probably tell everyone. Marcia, Chiara, my friends, they'd desert me in a second. My cousins, when they came, never. My father held the most liberal views, but on this, who else? Write to one of my teachers, see a doctor, say I needed a shrink? Tell Oliver? Tell Oliver. There is no one else to tell Oliver, so I'm afraid it's going to have to be you. I want to show you some more Elio's doubts. Did I want to be like him? Did I want to be him? Or did I just want to have him? Or are being and having thoroughly inaccurate verbs in the twisted skein of desire, where having someone's body to touch and being someone we're longing to touch are one and the same, just opposite banks on a river that passes from us to them, back to us, and over to them again, in this perpetual circuit where the chambers of the heart, like the trapdoors of desire, and the wormholes of time, and the false-bottomed drawer we call identity, share a beguiling logic according to which the shortest distance between real life and the life unlived, between who we are and what we want, is a twisted staircase designed with the impish cruelty of M.C. Archer. When had they separated us, you and me, Oliver? And why did I know it, and why didn't you? Is it your body that I want when I think of lying next to it every night? Or do I want to slip into it and own it as if it were my own, as I did when I put on your bathing suit and took it off again, all the while craving, as I craved nothing more in my life that afternoon, to feel you sleep inside me, as if my entire body were your bathing suit, your home. You in me, me in you. It is so difficult to recognize your intentions, your preferences, your desires. It's so difficult to understand yourself. It's like a permanent attempt to find yourself, which causes a lot of pain, struggle, strain, and uncertainty. In the end, it is almost inevitable that you will fall in depression or despair, and there is no one who can help you. Maybe just time can heal your wounds or make them not so painful. The light of my eyes, as said, light of my eyes, light of the world, that's what you are, light of my life. I didn't know what light of my eyes meant, and part of me wondered where on earth had I fished out such claptrap. But it was nonsense like this that brought tears now, tears I wished to drown in his pillow, soak in his bathing suit, tears I wanted him to touch with the tip of his tongue and make sorrow go away. I wanted to flee the house. I wanted to be next fall already and be as far away as I could. Leave our town with its silly dancing and its silly youth no one in his right mind would wish to befriend. Leave my parents and my cousins who always competed with me, and those horrible summer guests with their arcane scholarly projects who always ended up hogging all the bathrooms on my side of the house. What would happen if I saw him again? Would I bleed again, cry, come in my shorts? And what if I saw him with someone else, ambling as he so often did at night around the dancing? What if instead of a woman, it was a man? I should learn to avoid him, sever each tie one by one, as neurosurgeons do when they split one neuron from another, one thought-tormented wish from the next. Stop going to the back garden, stop spying, stop heading to town at night, wean myself a bit at a time, each day like an addict, one day, 1 hour, 1 minute, one slop-infested second after the other. It could be done. I knew there was no future in this. I have a fantasy that somebody very dear to me read me a story. Or I read aloud to her or to him, or we read in turns. I find something touching in this action, and also it was Elia's fantasy. I wanted him to read me a story, something by Chekhov or Gogol or Catherine Mansfield. Take your clothes off, Oliver, and come into my bed. Let me feel your skin, your hair against my flesh, your foot on mine. Even if we won't do a thing, let us cuddle up, you and I, when the night is spread out against the sky, and read stories of restless people who always end up alone and hate being alone because it's always themselves they can't stand being alone with. There is a quote about happiness due to possibility of finding a soulmate. What never crossed my mind was that someone else in my immediate world might like what I liked, what I wanted, be who I was. At the same time, there is feeling that it is unwise to rely on other people. All I had to do was find the source of happiness in me and not rely on others to supply it the next time. But craving for love overpowered other desires. Elia wrote, if I could have him like this, like a lover, in my dreams every night of my life, I'd stake my entire life on dreams and be done with the rest. Also the question, who am I, was bothering Elia. Who I am when I crave to be naked with another naked body, or when I crave to be alone in the world. Who I am when every part of me seems miles and centuries apart, and each swears it bears my name. Sometimes Elia succeeded in fighting his malaise. I presume malaise it is synonym for anxiety. Elia decided on his first date with Oliver not to cross-examine every single impulses. If I am stupid, let me be stupid. If I touch his knee, so I'll touch his knee. If I want to hug, I'll hug. The hero in this book that I admire and respect, it is Elia's father. He is very clever, wise man, and he talked a lot about humans' nature and about relationships. I presume this is precious thoughts. The first interesting thought is there were mistaken turns. Everyone goes through a period of traviamento when we take, say, a different turn in life, the other veer. Some recover, some pretend to recover, some never come back, some chicken out before even starting, and some, for fear of taking any turns, find themselves leading the wrong life all life long. The second interesting thought is Anticipating sorrow to neutralize sorrow, that's paltry, cowardly stuff. In your place, if there is pain, nurse it. And if there is a flame, don't snuff it out, don't be brutal with it. Withdrawal can be a terrible thing when it keeps us awake at night, and watching others forget us sooner than we'd want to be forgotten is no better. We rip out so much of ourselves to be cured of things faster than we should that we go bankrupt by the age of 30 and have less to offer each time we start with someone new. But to feel nothing so as not to feel anything, what a waste. Remember, our hearts and our bodies are given to us only once. Most of us can't help but live as though we've got 2 lives to live. One is the mock-up, the other the finished version, and then there are all those versions in between, but there is only one, and before you know it, your heart is worn out. And as for your body, there comes a point when no one looks at it, much less wants to come near it. I will have been a terrible father if one day you'd want to speak to me and felt the door was shut or not sufficiently open. It is very strong words. We have something to think about, so let's do it on our own. I hope it was interesting video for you. Please let me know in the comments whether you like it or not. It was very important book for me. This book have great influence on me, on my mind, on my thoughts, on my feelings. So I just want to share this with you. That's all. See you soon.